Hello everybody, welcome back to a brand new video. It's your boy, the Chaotic One. And we've hit 500 subscribers, so we need a 500 subscriber special video that I want you guys to decide. And so, yeah, just give me some suggestions. I'm not really sure what I should do. You know, it took a while to get here, but we finally did it. So if you have any suggestions, tell me. I'm interested to see. So today we're doing the best Republican versus the worst Democrat. For the Republican, the best Republican would be Jim Justice, and his running mate would be Mike Garcia. And for the Democrats, their worst choice would be Missouri Congresswoman Cori Bush. And I think she would choose a white progressive as her running mate, so I chose Peter Welch, who would be the senator from Vermont. Which, yeah, I didn't really know who else to pick for Cori Bush. They're not to be honest, not a lot of statewide white progressives, honestly, who would help her. But, so let's start filling out the map. Let's start out with the safe states: Alaska, Utah, Arizona would be safe. Look at 2018's Arizona governor race to find out why. Idaho, Wyoming, Montana, the Dakotas, all of Nebraska, including the 2nd District. Kansas, Oklahoma, Texas is even safe. The Rio Grande Valley and the suburbs, that's a hard turn to the right. Louisiana, Arkansas, Missouri, Iowa, Indiana, Ohio, West Virginia. I know, shocking. Who would have guessed a progressive would lose West Virginia? Woohoo. Kentucky, that's another shocker. Tennessee, Mississippi, Alabama. Not Georgia, shockingly, honestly. That's unhonestly shocking. South Carolina would go safe. Florida would go safe as well. Cubans, the Cuban American population in South Florida. That's a hard turn to the right. In Maine's 2nd Congressional District, that's all safe, giving Jim Justice 231 electoral votes. Next up, we have the safe blue states. California is safe, obviously. Hawaii, that is progressive territory right there. Colorado is even safe with Cori Bush. If you have a progressive like Cori Bush or Bernie Sanders, the urban area, they're going to have a very hard turn to the left, because that is where they're going to do the best at, is your urban areas. So Colorado would go safe. Vermont would go safe as well, Massachusetts and Maryland. Oh, we can't forget about D.C. either. All those states would go safe, giving her 95 electoral votes. So we have a lot of battleground states here that should not be battleground states. And that's mostly because Republicans nominated their best candidate, in my opinion, and Democrats nominated the worst candidate. With a pretty decent running mate, Peter Welch is really not that bad. You know, he's just kind of there. So, which might help her with some Democrats, I guess. So let's start off with usually I go likely Republican. Let's do the likely Democrat states first. Washington would be likely. Again, suburbs would not turn out for Cori Bush. Outside of Seattle, she'd do pretty poorly. So we'd probably see Kim Schreier's district be heavily Republican in this race. Illinois would be safe as well. Chicago would be very favorable to Cori Bush. However, you know, the Chicago suburbs, probably not so much. And downstate as well, and to the west, from the northwest all the way to downstate, that's going to be ruby red territory right there. Probably not ruby as red as I'm saying, but it'll still be pretty red. Let's see. I'm thinking. Oh wait, Maine's first. Oh, New York should be safe. I apologize. New York should be safe. New York should be safe. New York City would go heavily for Cori Bush. I'm sorry, I forgot to give New York to Cori Bush. I apologize. Maine's 1st district, the state in all is pretty progressive, just in itself, but Maine's 1st district itself, not so much, though it'd still be likely Democrat. Now, the likely Republican states, Nevada would go likely Republican, where even both Clark and Washoe would go red, so every single county in Nevada would go red. So an 8 to 9 point victory for Jim Justice here. Wisconsin, same story. Again, like outside of your urban counties, yeah, that's even your white working class, your Obama-Trump voters, Jim Justice will heavily win those. Even against someone who's not Cori Bush, Jim Justice is very, very good white working class appeal. Pennsylvania would go to Jim Justice by 7 or 8. Bush would talk about some of the craziest shit in Pennsylvania, like banning fracking in a fracking-heavy county, which would turn off a lot of voters. Let's see. Georgia would go likely Republican. The reason why it's not safe is because Atlanta would turn out very heavily for Cori Bush. Again, a lot of black... Jesus Christ. Sorry, a cat just dashed across the living room and the dogs got spooked. Honestly funny, but Jim Justice has crossed the finish line without even going to lean states. Again, Atlanta suburbs, that will go to Jim Justice. Everything else, Sanford Bishop's district, that'll even go Republican. Sanford Bishop might even win re-election here, but Cori Bush would lose his district on the presidential level. North Carolina, that would be likely as well, a very military-heavy state, and with Cori Bush not being a very nationalist kind of Democrat, very America-hating Democrat, military Democrats would be very against Bush. They'd either vote third party or they'd vote for Jim Justice, who, honestly, Jim Justice would get a lot of crossover appeal. Okay. Maine at large would go likely as well. Justice would win Maine's 2nd district and enough vote in the 1st district, enough to win by 5 at the very least. A lot of, centrist and moderate Democrats, Blue Dog Democrats would heavily turn out for Jim Justice instead of Cori Bush. I could make a joke about neocons voting for Cori Bush because her last name is Bush, but that's just way too easy. Okay, now we're doing lean Democrat states. Oregon would go lean Democrat. Of course, the West Coast is very progressive, and Portland is just way too fucking big for Jim Justice to win. And the fact that Cori Bush would be loved here in Portland, it's very, very difficult for Justice to be able to win here. He'd win every single county that does not have urban Portland in there, absolutely. Or every single district that doesn't have any portion of urban Portland in there. So which is good, but Bush would still be able to pick off enough support to win. It would be very close. Both candidates would probably get under 50% of the vote, but Oregon would be like a 2 to 3 point victory for Cori Bush. Rhode Island, Connecticut, and Delaware would all go lean. Delaware would be a 4-point victory, Connecticut would be a 2-point victory, and Rhode Island would be a 3-point victory. Again, the New England area, very progressive. Just a lot of progressive Democrats there. However, there are a lot of independent voters who lean left that would vote for certain progressive Democrats. Some that I would think at the top would be Jon Ossoff. Elizabeth Warren, to a lesser extent, though she is from the Northeast, so they would probably vote for her regardless. And there are more, probably, that I'm not talking about, that I can't remember off the top of my head, but they would probably vote for them. But these left-leaning independents would not vote for Cori Bush, who supports defunding the police and a bunch of other ridiculous policies. So they'd probably vote for Jim Justice, since he is very left-leaning from his days as a Democrat. And I think that is all of the lean Democrat states. Now we go to the lean Republican states. We have New Mexico. Let's make the map all nice and pretty. The chart all nice and pretty. Absolutely, New Mexico would go for Jim Justice. Outside of Albuquerque, Bush would do awful. She'd do poor with Hispanics. Hispanics would turn out heavily for Jim Justice, especially with Mike Garcia on the ballot. I think I had Byron Donalds as Jim Justice running mate in the video against Andy Beshear. I don't remember. It's been a while. But we'd see a very hard trend to the right for New Mexico compared to other areas of the country. Michigan would also go for Jim Justice. Kent County, Muskogee County, that will go for Jim Justice very heavily, a lot more than it did for John James in the Senate race in 2020. But in Detroit, Justice gets crushed. However, he probably wins by 3 to 4 points. He actually wins Virginia. Yes, he wins Virginia as well. If Terry McAuliffe had won Virginia in 2021, then I probably would have given it to Cori Bush. But Glenn Youngkin won, and I think Justice would win by a similar margin to Glenn Youngkin, around 2 to 3 points, beating Cori Bush. Cori Bush would get crushed outside of Richmond. Loudoun County would go Democrat, just a lot more narrower. I'll get to New Hampshire in a second, but the final 3 states will all go tilt: Minnesota, New Hampshire, and New Jersey. I know y'all are thinking, hold on, Minnesota, it's a swing state already. But if you thought the Minneapolis Twin Cities swing to the left was crazy in 2020, it's going to get a lot more crazy in 2024 in this race, but I think Jim Justice would barely carry it over. He would win every single county outside of the Twin Cities, but Bush would like get dictator-like levels in Minneapolis and St. Paul. It's St. Paul? I think it's St. Paul. But, you know, a lot of self-hating white folk over there. It's upsetting. New Hampshire, that would also be tilt Republican. Again, it's mostly because of the amount of progressive voters in the north in New England. New Hampshire is no exception to that. And Jim Justice is not libertarian enough to win a state by a larger margin, I don't think. A very populist, and libertarians are against that. However, I do think that he would be able to pick it off by... It would be to the right of Minnesota, absolutely. New Jersey, that would go for Cori Bush very narrowly. If Jack Ciattarelli had won in 2021, I would have given it to Jim Justice, but just can't do it. Can't do it. And New Jersey is a lot more progressive than, you know, one would think. So that's why I'm giving it to Cori Bush. Out of the three tilt states, I think Minnesota would be the closest out of the three. But this is my prediction. Jim Justice so close to an Electoral College landslide. 347 to 191. He probably wins the popular vote by around 3 to 4 points, if not much greater. Maybe I'm underestimating Jim Justice, which is surprising since I am the Jim Justice fanboy. I am the Jim Justice simp. But thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. This is the Chaotic One saying peace. Don't forget that 500 special suggestion. Don't forget it.